Welcome everyone to another fun code live stream here on our channel, making everything, at least in our Linux distribution, that is T2, SDE system development environment, just raw vanilla and only patched when it's broken Linux, work even greater again. What this is about today is like if you have serial systems or like SGI, Sun or other high-end servers and you have even then a serial console, and hey, even my Asus workstation X570 Sport has a freaking serial port if you really wanted it, but even QEMU, right? So let's make this better and greater again. And what this is about is, if you see me working here, especially with QEMU, you often see me that the serial console is a little bit garbled. Also, like, why is this garbled here? Or maybe because, yeah. So the thing is that this is defaulting to, actually maybe I should have better like that, defaulting to VT102, right? Because the kernel and the user space historically did not really know what serial console it is, right? It could be a real VT102 from DEC or so, or a more fancy DEC. Could be a Xeon 5 or whatever serial console, previous video. It could be anything, right? Another Linux machine, and so on. So what this means is that this is rather limited, right? So by default, it's even black and white. We can fix this with exporting term. And did I even export that term? Hello? Oh, also export. Like to Linux, that fixes it to be in color, but I mean, it makes it already a little bit better. But the problem is not all positioning works correctly, right? And there's some stuff. I mean, also like, at least here, you could argue that here it's okay-ish, it's just 80 by 25, because that is obviously also what this defaults to, 80 by, was it rows or columns and or lines? Of course it's lines. And 80 by 24. And the problem with that is all of this would be fine, and for the installer it's like, yeah, okay, we can work at least. It doesn't even look that bad, right? It's like, nicely formatted there in the top left corner. But the problem is, if you VI stuff, it becomes pretty darn annoying. Let's also, someday we need to reset this better. So if we boot a full system, then you've seen me usually, and so the thing is, after I endured that for 20 years, and now the problem is live streaming it, right? So personally, I would even continue to live with that, because my tolerance to broken stuff is rather high, as you probably have seen here live on this channel. But the problem is live streaming it, right? And then all the people in the world see how broken, or at least imperfect it is. Because if you VI now, it's like, yeah. And the problem is that it is also not only not filling the screen, but also the editing, the line editing then sucks, right? So there is the last character somewhat duplicated for whatever. Means that not being in Zinc. I'm not really sure how this happened. But another thing also, the shell. I mean, you could say, yeah, editor, even the editor. I mean, I endured it for 20 years. You can work. I mean, I can give me echo and SED and I can still edit files. But the more annoying thing is, of course, the terminal, right? So, like, if you have longer stuff here, it's like, yeah, of course, but it's like, yeah, this latest there, it's not fun anymore. And there is actually something to fix that, and that is resize from the extern package, right? So there are escape sequences, where escape sequences being, so normally you have ASCII text, and the terminal emulators supported some various things, colors, absolute positioning, and a ton lot of all kinds of crazy functions, special characters and whatnot. So, and now this is even mostly fixed, as you see. Ta-da! The problem is, this is in Xterm, right? And the problem with that is, either if you install a minimal T2 Linux, because who would want an X11 on their server, just look at my recent have you tried FreeBSD and FreeBSD fans fighting with me that I'm a moron and should read the fucking manual, that who in their right mind would want Xorg in the default installation, and that is completely utter bullshit what I demand or whatever here live on YouTube. Least educated DAO user. What was my point? All right, Xterm. So if we wanted to have that just work on your server embedded system, and yeah, it would be cool if that works without Xterm, right? Because otherwise we could just have Xterm. And the other thing is also our install media, right? On our install media, we don't include Xterm for obvious reasons, because we don't even have X in there. And for a brief moment, I was considering, yeah, should we put Xterm into the install media just to have resize, or do other quirkery of having Xterm in the installer, but then delete Xterm and also all the other support files, so long story short, all of this stuff rather quickly becomes quite a mess. Carlos is thinking, and welcome everyone, thinking about porting some emulators to OWinner D1. That is amazing. Patches welcome and whatnot. Also, by the way, porting depends on what exactly you want to do, right? Often porting is just compiling with, like, porting onto T2 Linux stuff, so source compatible. Usually it's just compiling like previous video Amiga emulator on P3 or Super Nintendo, SNES, whatever. Also previous video. So I compiled here from bits and pieces on the internet, so some resize function. Right? We don't need, turns out we don't obviously need to have Xterm's resize here. So this is some kind of shell script I copy and pasted together from various internet things. So the way this works is sending escape here, echo no new line escape, like -e escape of handling escape sequences in the arguments, and then here E7 escape 7 escape. You see that here. That is, you for sure find this. I mean, obviously I found it on Stack Overview and other Linux questions and stuff. So what happens here now is that responds with some answer. So basically what happens is, on the serial line or virtual virt.io console and all the good stuff, our program sends escape sequences that are also otherwise used for even setting the title in your Xterm, for example, and so on. So the terminal, I mean, like if supported, not all emulators supports it. And that's also the question, right? Should we really do that in the installer, like automatically, if it then breaks other terminals? I probably one day, share, like, subscribe, Patreon, GitHub sponsor, YouTube membership or stuff, probably one day I go fancy and purchase off of eBay or wherever some highly expensive and overkill DEC terminal to probably test this out, because I never had one, to probably test this out on a real human's good old-fashioned real terminal. So more you shall, like, subscribe, the sooner I can afford one. Until then, for my use cases, so you could argue, nah, all this auto magic stuff, it's only prone to fail and stuff. But nah, it is what it is. If it breaks, like, I would argue it improves the usability. So my plan is to include this in the default T2 profile D, and also include this in the installer, which we will do now, to run this. So basically this means running this echo. Also, we can improve it, right? So it probably will next to never run unless you have this serial console use case, because obviously we have some term, right? So, all right, so like, let's log in again. Probably how you see this. Also hydration. Welcome everyone. People agree, BTOP greater HTOP. Still waiting for the next update. Some of the colors look a little bit strange, right? I mean, I don't have my... We save electricity. Oh, you know what? I've forgotten to... Speaking of saving electricity. Do we have even... Okay, we don't save electricity because I have my Steam Deck display on. Forgot to switch it off because I rebooted to test the latest kernel that is already updated in T2 already, of course, taking our advancements in leading Linux solutions very seriously. So if you don't have Linux kernel 6.4.4, play along at home, go download T2 and update your latest kernel. So yeah, to further defensive coding, right? Another video, someone liked my defensive coding. Defensive coding would be to not always run it. But by the way, we can do this. So set exports all, prints all this environment, and then grab lines. And by the way, does this work like this? Maybe not. And let's see, lines, columns. Okay, that doesn't work like that. Probably that. Ah, this pipe is in columns, obviously. And term. And yeah, that's one too much. So let's further harden this, right? So I currently have this in test. And so yeah, here you have an illustration. This is without this. And yeah, also this goes down one more line, I believe, here for no, it doesn't. This is actually right. I read this wrong. So let's actually further harden this defensive programming, right? Let's only run this for the case where clearly these are the defaults. So if you run this on a frame buffer, on a P3, your fancy real hardware, and so on, and you most likely either have another terminal. So by the way, this probably, let me think. Yeah, so the Linux kernel exports Linux. Is it in kernel? No, I'm actually not sure. Probably should be in kernel. So let's only if columns are 80, so a little bit more defensive, right? Also, by the way, speaking about defensive, we probably should quote this, otherwise I believe it would error out if it's not set and expands to nothing. This, by the way, is why old-fashioned, I have no idea why old-fashioned shell stuff always has this X shit here. I really hate this. This is like the worst program style I've ever seen. I don't know if old terminals don't support quotes like that or empty quotes, or I don't know what's going on there, but the autoconf stuff is full with it. Probably I should further research it, but I truly hate it. I use this style and I never had a problem with it. Probably I don't run 70s shells. So yeah, only if we are running such a term, which maybe we put this to the front. So that means this is a little bit defensive safeguarding, so that we are less likely to break something, right? I mean, we probably only break stuff for DEC terminals and whatsoever, but like, why run potentially fragile stuff if we don't have to, right? For 99% of the time. The term VT102, which probably is Linux default. I probably should check that. By the way, does this kernel VT100 probably VT did I think I somehow. Okay, it doesn't. Let's quickly extract a Linux kernel 7.9. Okay, let's. Yeah, we can even probably reuse that. Nothing like having a just extracted VT102. A little bit fact checking. Do they VT102 ID? Response string. It might then be that this is a little unexpected. Do we set that? I mean, in the init tab of old-fashioned, not systemd. Yeah, here we set this manually. Okay, so the Getty does it here, running on either VT, TTY, or TTY. Okay, there we have VT100 actually. Why do we have here 100? And good that we check that. Let's check our installer. Target generic, share VT102. Okay, here we don't set that either, so actually we probably want to how many VTs are there? Maybe we should. So these are the default ones we include. in the installer because we don't really need more. How many are there even? Okay, they're actually freaking buttload of gazillion ones. Yeah, probably VT 102, 100 and 102 should be. Ah, maybe the kernel sets VT 100. What did I grab for? Clinical trial? So that is how this stuff looked like. Do they have 102? Okay, this is also the wrong language. Okay, the 102 was so... Oh, where is the freaking English version? Oh, darn. Yeah. Especially so VT100, so this is how this good old-fashioned stuff looked like, right? If you're wondering, playing at home. Was extremely successful on the market in the end of the 70s to the 80s. Leading terminal vendor at the time was replaced by the VT200 series starting in 1983, and we are still using this good old stuff even today for all our graphical terminal emulation goodness. Someone sees terminal commands and bash commands and wonders if we are dumping Intel sources again. No, today we're not dumping the previous video. Greg Kohartman, by the way, agrees with our assessment as seen on the Linux kernel or something mailing this. So let's grab again for 100. Okay, that has more longest VT100 escape sequence is 4 bytes. Nothing like good old-fashioned keyboard I/O debug stuff. Not VT100, VT serial console. Here is VT100 admin guide serial console. Often emulate antiquated terminal types for HV. So this programs. I slightly wonder where this is defined in this serial console stuff. Okay, here's VT102 ID. Hopefully this will be a rather complete VT102 implementation, VT102 emulator. Terminal answer to an escape set or CSI 0C query. Okay, there is indeed a 102 ID. So that is in TTY, VT. But that would be a regular VT. Anyway, for our installer, that means why don't we actually... Good that a decade later we actually further improve our stuff. Nothing like checking after yourself or others a decade later. Target, share, install, build, second stage. Oh, still have that running. Let's maybe include both just because. Theoretically maybe some 200 and 300 series, but they're probably rare and expensive. Still wonder where that really is set. How do we run the... That should be in rootfs, spin init. Here we run Getty's, or maybe the Getty is doing that. Maybe the Getty has it hard-coded as we're running this with IJ NL, so that comes out of core utils or so. Util-Linux. Maybe they default to that somewhere. 38.1 or so. If there's a new version, let me know. They already log in as you log in, setenv vt102. Maybe there it's coming from. Maybe the Linux kernel sets. Actually, we can test that. Maybe the Linux kernel sets Linux in either case. Let's. I believe we should be able to test this with booting. And using our very early environment here. Oh shit, this auto boots too good. Okay, let's not use the CD-ROM if we quirk that to use HDB, I believe. Ah shit. Also doesn't work. Ah no, this actually did work, sorry. I was confused. So this probably shouldn't auto-find the ISO because it's on a non... yeah, wanted to trigger that. And then expert, and then this should be straight... Okay, the Linux kernel always gives us Linux even on a serial kernel. Good that we fact check that. And the... is it SU login? The login stuff gives us then VT102 apparently by default. VGA0. I'm curious if why is this not giving me VNC? Oh, there's some spice running on. Nothing like some spice. And what did I want to test? I wanted to test if actually we should have used the other, but doesn't matter. This should boot if we specifically say, okay, should and should. Okay, then. Oh wait, what was it to? No, I made something amazing. Because it is hard to find some focus for that to reach. Actually, I could have killed Spicy away as nice. But somehow I managed to find this focus. So yeah, let's see what that gives us. But that size should... Okay, cool. This gives us Linux. So they detect this somewhere with escape sequences or whatnot. And it resizes, right? So this is on... So yeah, this is resized. So yeah, my theory of... So now I need to find focus. This is really annoying, to be honest. How did I... Wayland is the future. How did I just do that anyway? Oh, maybe going here and then focusing there. Huh. Nothing like some focus trickery. So this works as expected. Now we tested all the stuff that we... Now we know where it is set. Oops. And then let's add this code. Test. Everything is named test. Yeah, okay, we rebooted now, so delete that. Ah, darn. Do we have... no, we deleted this, very clever of ours. Nothing like redoing that again. Yeah. That comes for all the research. And then we have to do it again. So term first and columns and lines, what we had done already, that comes from research and rebooting. So VT102, we probably should check two things. The first is nothing like checking even more, right? This is 5 init. This 5 init. Hello. Ah, not targets. This 5 init. Oh, it's not there. This file probably should not be in here, so we should probably also change this to VT102 then. But then I wonder, how did we just boot? Did I enable that? Probably not. This probably, yeah, so this latest versions of this 5 init, maybe even systemd auto adds this report. What did we have now? VT102, okay. Yeah, let's only automatically do for that. If you set something else, then you don't get it for now. I mean, theoretically, we could only check 80 by 24, which should be rare. But for now, let's do it this way. So only if all of this stuff, then try the resize. Let's see, do we have stuff to improve here? If dash t, what was this? If dash t 0, what is that even doing? What is that? Oops. All right, we need to escape that. What is dash? Hello? All right, page up doesn't work because we didn't set the terminal yet. Probably, yeah, it's not amazing. And that is exactly why we want to fix this, right? Dash T, yeah. That is read, not timeout. Dash conditional expressions. Should be this one, right? True, a file descriptor is open and refers to a terminal. Okay, if it's a terminal, that's good to know. So terminal, check if terminal, and this is number of arguments somehow 0, not really sure why they did that here. This is usage. Okay, we don't really need this usage. And here we could also, if terminal or return. And we don't really need exit codes here. We run this on init. So this is setting the input field separator here. And then echo, as I said, without new line and escape handling here for this escape sequence. Can even tag VT102 escape sequences manual. Probably back in the day, it wouldn't surprise me if they had this in the printed manual. but correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the full manual? Hey, video terminal user guide, look at this beauty. Is this OC art? Oh, so it's freaking slow. Maybe it's not OC art. Don't delay, try our amazing OCR software today, I guess. Oh, it's also still loading because somehow shop PDPnet is slow stuff. I mean, maybe we leave it in here for documenting purposes only. What did they do here? Columns equals x. So they check. So they just echo that here, right? So we don't need that. So we want not equal if either of those is not what we have already. So basically also, again, defensive programming, only do trickery here. Okay, they also check 0 for some reason. I mean, I personally don't. I mean, some people like that. I find this more readable. I mean, why have... I mean, if you... I'm not sure why you would want to make that less readable. So if x greater 0, by the way, does this error out? Theoretically, it could be unset, right? I believe this errors out if you z greater than 0. Oh no, it doesn't. Ah, this errors out. Interesting. Didn't know that. Learn something every day. Okay, so that is quite the difference between the two extended things. Actually, fair enough. I learned something new there. I mean, it's also crazy that after 20 years of shell scripting, you still learn new tricks. I usually avoided that. I didn't know that the extended thing here handles it like that. So if that's greater 0 and that is greater 0, and I believe we recently checked we can combine that, right? So and that is not equal x, or that is not equal y. This is indented now, thank you very much. Then run this stty, that is that doesn't stand for set or print or change terminal characteristics. So yeah, then update the terminal stuff here for columns and rows, and otherwise, yeah, I don't really need that. Print it during boot. So let's see if that still works. Test. Yeah, resizing 8024 212 by 34. Amazing, right? And so the plan is, so now that we cleaned this up a little bit and made a little bit more our style. Is there anything more that we would need to change for right now? Probably not. And then the only question is, where do we put that? For the regular login, it is easy. basically how to common serial consoles. For the regular boot it's easy, just etc profile, probably. Let's see if it just works there. Okay, we obviously we don't really want this printout, I guess. The only question is for shell scripting, but as we protected that, I mean, probably there is an escape sequence to get the ID. Does this even load in the meantime? It's not the fastest PDF viewer, but I'm also live streaming from. If you're wondering why this is so slow, I'm not live streaming this from Epic Thread Ripping. I'm running this on a Steam Deck, right? So it's an AMD custom APU. So yeah, here are some escape sequences. What do we have? A control. Do we have control functions, sequence formats? Do we have more here? ASCII table, escape, intermediate, final. Smooth scroll mode. VT102, VT100 differences. For those who were so lucky to have both. Yeah, and whatever most of. So, did I change this already? Probably not. Conf. Wait, what is here? Why is this in there? Maybe we don't need that. Finding other 25-year-old bitrot config files. Post external profile D. So yeah, check if terminal, decode this stuff, and then including it in the installer. And the question is target share install, and basically yet another usability polishing, right? This is just continuing to make stuff work out of the box even more amazing. And to the previous BSD videos, I'm shocked. We tried out all this good stuff, and while I have appreciation for all the decades of legacy, I'm a little bit shocked. Not only could I, like with my experience, and yes, I've not read all the freaking manual of OpenBSD and FreeBSD, but OpenBSD I couldn't get serial console within 10 minutes at all. It looks to me it's statical compiled into the kernel, a little bit low tech. So it did not instantly look to me that from the OpenBSD loader you could enable a serial console, which I find rather unexpected. And with FreeBSD you can, in the loader, change the console with F7 or so, or 7 or 5. You can even have, it's in a way with grub we need to manually edit that unless you program a menu, which probably you could. So it's kind of more user-friendly than Linux with a FreeBSD loader, and certainly better than OpenBSD, where I couldn't get this to work anyway. And I find it really stupid to load an entirely different ISO just to have serial console. So you could change it, but on grub T2 Linux you get serial output by default, and on FreeBSD not, right? So if I boot with only serial console, I don't see the loader. I need to edit it blindly, which it appears to work. So you, like, if you have VGA, then you can edit it. If you have only serial console, it's not. So there is a starts. So in theory more user friendly, except if you don't see it. but then I also couldn't get it to work in the installer, right? So if I booted with serial console only, I still got the installer on the VGA of QEMU. And even if I booted with no graphics and no VGA, and I booted with the serial console with FreeBSD, which I then had to enable blindly, I had the kernel output. I could even show you that in a second. But I didn't have the installer on the serial console. I didn't even have to log in prompt on the serial console. So, mind blown. It's like where even 20 years of work Linux and T2 legacy is more usable and user-friendly than even longer decades of BSD usability. But people, FreeBSD fans and OpenBSD master Jedis probably chime in the comments, tell me how stupid I am, not reading the freaking manual more and expecting the unexpected, and how I'm a dumb moron of, yeah. And I should stay. Previous video comments, I should just stay with my Linux and not try freaking BSD. Anyway, so yeah, surprised that didn't work more out of the box, and it will work more out of the box now with T2 Linux. Let's see, how do we build this? Do we include this file? Okay, we include this file. Do we include profile? Need to check a little bit. All right, we also need to get this out of somewhere. So T2 sources here, latest update there. This file, so probably this files. Copy this new profile D console, probably here, etc profile. Not really. Where do we have? Alright, we have various profiles. Okay, copy it here already. Need to check where even we. Alright, das. Maybe I should check if there is a sequence for the terminal ID, because I believe this only fixes half of the problem. Yeah, VT100. Because page up and down didn't work, which is also like, yeah, it's like, why does page up and down not like, yeah, I understand, but this is really silly, like the incompatibilities between VT100 stuff and like, I understand everyone just YOLO'd their thing and stuff, but yeah, this is why we can't have nice things, right? 400, I wonder, what even was it? VT100 in term info. And why we have 2900 for term, it's like we have more terminal info than freaking Linux distributions. It's like, yeah, many also double and triplicates and quadruplicates and yeah. Anyway, crazy stuff. Someone wants to take AI while you're working. What do you want to talk AI? What do you want to talk AI? So profile, where are profile D? Also, common typo of mine. 0 deer tree profile D. What else do we have here? XFCE package config Python. Oh, we have there some VTE even. Crazy stuff. Okay, here's some post install. That is not, was it not shared? Oh, maybe it's in the conf. Oh, okay, we create some profile D. Yeah, I need to check where exactly we put that in there. Profile, probably profile. All right, I should have tested. Okay, let's manually. Oh no, this is not yet committed. That is the other system. Because now we have it here. And somewhere we need to include that. Big fan of the two derived works. Happy to hear that. Doing computing since 1986. Tell me how you feel about AI Rush. A moment fan. Yeah, we're mostly done, right? So basically, we did the trickery. We cleaned up the sources. We just need to somehow roll it into our sources. So yeah, let's talk AI for a moment. So right now, I'm not the most impressed with this ChatGPT stuff, because it's, to me, I know someone who really uses some AI, maybe ChatGPT. I would need to check my emails. I have some friend here who really is using it like an assistant, it's crazy. And they also told me, like they showed me some examples where this, if it's ChatGPT or the others, I right now don't remember. One of the big ones. And so right now it's, in my opinion, only a glorified alternative database. And it gets lots of stuff wrong, right? It's basically, right now, this stuff is some kid or intern. I wouldn't even say intern, like, because this stuff right now is not really thinking right. I would color me impressed when we achieve general artificial intelligence. What is it? Artificial intelligence, AGI. Let's Google that. General artificial intelligence. What is the abbreviation? AGI, probably. Because right now it's like, it's not even, I would even say some kids, like even some, I mean, even when, as I have a kid right now, which is just a little bit over 3, I would even say, I mean, of course, a 3-year-old does not have all the memory of Wikipedia. So this ChatGPT or so has more database knowledge, but even a 3-year-old can sometimes be more intelligent, or do even start to say more philosophical questions, or because this ChatGPT is mostly deriving, like as far as I've seen, I should say, just randomly deriving stuff from its trained knowledge, and often it's wrong, right? And even a 3-year-old sometimes can give more intelligent answers. And because, for example, if you ask this ChatGPT thing, I mean, I even said it can't even compute, right? This friend of mine is even using it. I said this before, right? I'm not making this shit up. The stuff can't even compute. And with it, I mean, because they use it as an assistant and they ask it to compute some stuff that they had to compute, like some numbers, like let's say for some project, like maybe even some project pricing, and say, hey, ChatGPT, like if you use it as an assistant and you give it everything, like you would give an assistant everything, like, hey, assistant, compute me 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, like let's say some project pricing, whatever. And like the answer was totally wrong, right? It was like 17,000 off, because this stuff is not intelligent, right? It's just deriving, it's just pulling bits and pieces of its neural network out of there, right? And often it's wrong, right? And it's doing this without real intelligence. So right now I'm not really impressed. I wouldn't even use it. Even code, it gives you random bullshit code, right? It's being trained with bullshit code, and it's often even giving you, I'm not even sure if they have a feedback loop of, I mean, if it's this GitHub Copilot or others, I mean, not only it's usually answering you code snippets from other GPL and BSD projects, right? amazing licensing violation. And that is the thing, right? Is it a license violation if you you train your brain with GPL and BSD code and then, but the thing is, humans don't verbatim copy, right? Most people do not have an identical, or was it memory, and can produce thousands of characters of direct copy, right? So if I code stuff here, sure, it's 30 years of experience, but it's not verbatim copy, while this current AI stuff more verbatim copies out of its neural network, neural matrix. And that is not only a license violation, in my opinion, it's not even good. Often it gives you random garbage, or otherwise, even if it doesn't give you the most random garbage, it often does give you either not working as intended, not working in corner cases, or not even compiling code right. So yeah, we are certainly at the threshold. I'm not saying it's an interesting science experiment. Also, just the other day, I've posted on our Discord that someone on Twitter, maybe even an official study, posted. No, need too many terminals. Oh, sorry, need to navigate here. Need some, maybe here. Someone wrote on Twitter that it's even degrading, right? So they wrote, I can pick this up here, our Discord, just becoming a little bit more clever of not always exposing all the private chats here and stuff. That's why I have 3 displays. And so let's see if I can find it. Maybe it's here in AI. Twitter, was it that one? So this stuff might even degrade. What is it? Everything. Yeah, getting worse over time. Okay, is that not professional? Look at this level of professionalism. Of pulling stuff out here without exposing all our private chats. Amazing. This is what you want to share, like, subscribe and stuff. Just like so. GPT-4 getting worse over time, not better. Many people have reported noticing significant degradation in the quality, and that is the thing, right? You train it, and then maybe you train it in a lab and you find it amazing, and then over time, this is also the thing, right? How do you train this stuff? Like if you feedback loop this stuff, train with morons, like if you have 10,000 most DAO users, is it DAO user, or what is even, is there something like this in, is there an English version of DAO? It's like the most, branded user, BDU, okay. So yeah, if you have BDU users, like branded users, the German one I find a little bit more friendly anyway. The most unexpectedly dumb users, and like if you, I don't know how it happens, right? I don't have insight into GP. I'm just speculating with my experience. So, but basically, if you feedback train your GPT-4 with the user input of dumb users, I mean, then your GPT-4 is getting dumber, right? Like imagine Star Trek Data and like living on a planet with only dumb people. It's like, and then you have, I mean, if you have a read-only data, then data stays how it is. Or if you make a degraded copy of, what was it? I mean, one data has his daughter. What was her name? Was it Lol? And then the last copy of data that then lived on was it after? What was data's later copy? Later after? What was his name? Data copy TNG. Later after something. Yeah, if you have a read-only data, I mean, then he doesn't learn, right? And like, then where is copy? Must be somewhere. His all numbers into B4. B4. Why did I memorize this so wrong? Did he have, or did B4 give his Failed as a result. Most of data is positioning. It was lost before, was ultimately disassembled and preserved. It's a day. Storm Institute. Division of Advanced Synthetic Research. Remembrance. But did he not? Where did he? Did they resurrect him in Picard? I lost overview of all the bullshit stories. Anyway, my point is, like, even if you like copy your neural network with bit loss, then you have a degraded copy, right? So yeah, not sure why it happens, but even apparently, according to this tweet, research evaluated the model using a dataset of 500 problems, where the model had to figure out whether a given integer was prime. In March, GPT-4 answered correctly 488 of those questions. Also, like, yeah, it's not a computer, right? I would probably, I mean, we are not at data level. I mean, data would obviously be truly impressive, right? Would love to have some data here. Would also love to back up myself into some data. Like, hey, Elon Musk, the only thing I probably would buy from you is probably John Carmack is, according to his tweets, John Carmack of IT fame is also researching. Apparently knows that computer graphics is too boring and problem is solved. Now researching general artificial intelligence, which I appreciate very much, because this neural networks are rather nah. Also, probably I should become billionaire. I should have become billionaire because I actually played with neural networks like in 1999, and it's like, nah, on a Pentium, thank you very much. Another opportunity lost. But so, like, general artificial intelligence would be really amazing. But this GPT-4 stuff, it's like giving random answers. I mean, it's not computing like data, probably can, I guess. But as I said, my friend using it as an assistant, it failed adding 5. Like, they literally, as I said, they really did 15,000, 10,000, 25,000, and the answer was 15,000 off. It's like, you can't make this shit up, right? And like, otherwise it really didn't knew much stuff. Then because they know me, obviously they just for the fun ask, hey, do you know René Reber? And I said, yeah, he's a Gentoo developer. It's like, I literally, because that is actually why they emailed me. It's like, hey, can you believe ChatGPT or whatever thinks you're a Gentoo developer? It's like, I was like you. It's like, you can't. And then obviously I don't know how they set it up, but it's not learning, right? They then told this ChatGPT or whatever it was, like, the answer of this computation is wrong, and then it always says, sorry, you're right. It's like, you get this answer, it's like, somehow this number looks strange. Taking a calculator out, like, oh shit, 15,000 off. And then you tell it, hey, this answer is 15,000 off. It's like, sorry, you're right. It's like, you. And then you do it again, and it still gives you the wrong answer, right? You could then say, sure, it's a fail-safe that brain-dead users do not train this model to garbage, like maybe they are, because morons use it all day long. But maybe they should have a private state of at least some private, like, single account or group account that it learns with their problem space, because otherwise, like my friend using it as an assistant, and it's like, it's getting not better, right? You use it to compute stuff and you can't even tell it, you can tell it, hey, that was wrong. It says, yeah, sorry, you're right, but then continues to do the wrong stuff, right? Similar to, they told him, I think René Rebener was a Gentoo developer. Then it said, oh, sorry, you're right. And then you ask again, and it still gives the wrong answer. And then you ask, hey, is René Rebe doing this T2 Linux? Says, yes, you're right, he's doing this T2 Linux. Like, yeah, but it's pretty pointless discussion with an AI that doesn't learn. And the problem is, a human, like even a 3-year-old would tell you, I'm not so sure, like maybe green, but I don't know. But the GPT stuff is also, it's the problem, my opinion is, and that's probably something that you should learn. Hey, maybe don't you want to hire me also, like, hey, ChatGPT and OpenAI stuff, don't you want to hire me also to consult to improve your AI stuff in reasonable ways? Because in my opinion, when But maybe it's an advertising problem, because in my opinion, the AI stuff should also tell when it's not confident, right? It should tell users, like if you add 5 numbers, maybe it's 75,000, but I'm not so sure. But maybe the problem is they tried that. I mean, obviously for me that's obvious. Maybe it's also obvious to them. I mean, obviously very clever PhD people working on this AI stuff. But maybe they tried this, and maybe the real problem is that behind the back, the AI never is really confident, right? Because I would expect, like, if you tell an AI, add these numbers, and it doesn't even know how to do this, like, maybe it's 75,000, but my confidence is only 80%. And maybe if they always would do this, like, René Rebe is a Gentoo developer, but my confidence is only 50%. Like, if they would always do that, they would always have low confidence numbers, and people would actually see that this AI model is always not really that sure whether a number is a prime or not. I don't know, but yeah, for me right now, it's like, nah, not the most impressed. Color me more impressed if, for example, like if I can give an AI a real problem, like, hey, can you write me a microkernel? So it's like, nah, where to start? Can you write me a function? Can you write me a memory management function for an x86 processor? Like, it's not like an AI would currently give you that, right? If you need to give an AI, I mean, or it returns you random nonsense, verbatim copy from a BSD or Linux kernel or stuff like that. Anyway, that was a long summary, but to sum this up, it was, by the way, just a fun answer talk at the end of our video, right? If you're new to this stuff, probably don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, Patreon and GoFundMe. Last but not least to this AI, I realize that we are probably, like I probably mentioned in a half sentence some 5 minutes ago, we are probably at the edge of some true breakthroughs. I'm just not sure how long it takes, because at the current state, as I outlined, I'm not the most impressed, but it could get really fast, right? The general feedback loop. First we had microcomputers, and then we had Intel 4004, 8008, 8086, 8085, 8086. Oh no, 8080, 8085, 8086. Maybe some that I forgot. And the thing is, and then computers became really cheap, right? If you had a micro PD P11, that stuff was, or IBM, whatever, or SUSE, the stuff was huge and heavy and consumed energy and stuff, and you needed hundreds of thousands. But then with microcomputers, with personal microcomputers, everyone could afford it, right? And then if you see how they lay out the processors, like with each generation, why did with Moore's law not only process but also layouting, right? Initially you couldn't even lay out so many transistors, and then you had powerful CAD, computer-aided design workstations, and like with each iteration you could lay out more logic gates and finer structures, and you could just copy and paste the stuff, right? What you previously had to manually floor plan layout for your 8086, you could then do automatically and click and drop your adders and your multipliers and all the other logic and microcode and stuff. So with each generation you could build, with each machine you could build faster and bigger machines and stuff, and that is probably true also for AI. So with the AI it could be very fast unless it trains itself to defects, but it could be that, or it probably is, it will be with Moore's law also continuing in AI, and with each generation probably resizing. Like if you tell, and that is of course very dangerous, right? Right now not impressed. It could, however, not only become better fast and also become dangerous fast, right? Because probably we need some safeguards, like some science fiction authors, like that Asimov, so that AI, sci-fi, that Asimov or robot rules and whatnot. What's the biggest here? Was it Isaac Asimov maybe? 3 Laws of Robots. Hey, I probably got it relatively so much to artificial confidence levels here straight out of my head. Robot, and that is also AI, right? So replace robot with AI in AI may not injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm, and AI must obey the orders given by the human being except when such orders would conflict with the first law, and an AI must protect their own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first and second law. And probably we need real safeguards, and that might actually be very difficult to get into neural networks or other such positronic data-like structures. Because how to train your AI, right, and make really sure that these laws are always followed. Because if we let this AI loose and train and design itself, it becomes increasingly dangerous. AI mutating itself to become smarter and smarter, and that could, I mean, right now, not migrating from like also being more powerful and power hungry and needing more compute power. So maybe right now it's not that dangerous of migrating to another system and becoming Skynet, but yeah, there are some challenges, and it could become quite intelligent quite fast. I'm just not sure how many, 5, or it could be we are 5 years away from truly amazing artificial intelligence, or 10 years for real general artificial intelligence. I don't know, I have it hard to predict. But yeah, crazy times to be alive also for getting replaced by AI. Let's probably say that's basically my summary. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. Let's quickly take a look at the last AI comments while I had my monologue. Also need to, so much monologue, need to drink. Not a paid advertisement, just a cheaper replacement for the other expensive stuff I usually drink. Before someone chimes in here. But yeah, Luke points out there, as I said, resurrected in, but was it not some, did before not have another name? I'm pretty sure. Do you write it there? Yeah, someone writes, give ChatGPT 2 rules and it will forget the first rule. It will probably forget both rules, because I'm not sure what kind of level freedom they give it to train. Did it not give, what is this, or was it, was some name was before, right? Before? No, yes, before is this. Before I could complete the project, before witnesses construction, before Picard was brought back, 20 years after Data's death, in the Boson Rift, Picard encountered Data's preserved consciousness in a complex quantum simulation. His Data sacrifice had greatly weighted on Picard's mind after all this time. Data resurrected Picard that he did what? Data? Reassured Picard that he did not regret sacrificing his life to save Picard before Picard was brought back. Data also, yeah, it's like Picard also now being an AI. It's like, yeah. Was there not before? Whatever. I don't have so much. I develop too much open source. I don't have so much time to remember. To also remember all of Star Trek story. Yeah, Trapvex, it says John Carmack is working on general AI. What else done is there? I've seen feedback as well, but I would say it can be extremely good at most tasks behind much like an evil genie. Stories that you wish must be perfect. Did you know about Darling projects? Which Darling projects? Mountain Stark says very annoying to deal with. ChatGPT. lonely distro maintainer gets replaced by AI. Replies at local coal mine. Replies at local coal mine. Yeah, so that is also the thing, right? With all the technology, always marveling technology will make our life better and stuff, and still people work in coal mine and all our nuclear power plants, uranium mines. And the problem is corporate greed will never allow general humanity, at least not never, in our current state of most governments in most countries around the world, including obviously the USA and European Union, certainly Russia even more. And the crazy stuff is even Russia and China even more. People say about our socialist Russia and China, and yes, I've been there and done that, both Russia and China, and but certainly everyone knows what turbo capitalism both Russia and China is, meaning the general population being even poorer than most Americans or Europeans, and the richest billionaires being even more rich, right? The saying with turbo capitalism, meaning the spread of wealth even more unevenly spread, with most being even more poor in China and Russia, and the very rich being even richer, meaning the billionaires and oligarchs in Russia and China. Certainly same oligarchs and super rich certainly also exist in the USA and Europe, people like Elon Musk. And so while we could have technology and AI working for us and not having to work in a coal mine, that is not the reality, right? The reality is that a lot of, or even the middle class, thinking that they are the winner when in reality they are not, and destroying a lot of middle class jobs of managing and doing stuff, creative work and coding, and actually being the first to be replaced, and either you're super rich or then on the bottom of having to work in a coal mine or on a farm and stuff. And the general setup of society currently does not allow in no country in the world. And that is certainly something we should rethink, right? If we have increasingly artificial intelligence and robots working for us, same with robots, right? And we're also not yet so much to the robot revolution since the year 2000 and stuff, and still a lot of people have jobs, and robots have not replaced everything yet. But yeah, we need to think about this, and the current structures of society are not set up in any way, shape or form for robots and AI. And certainly neither oligarchs in the USA, the EU, China or Russia, they will all only take the profit, right? It's not like no government currently in the world, would spread the wealth of robots and AI taking over our task to normal people who then would have a basic income and could enjoy their life just doing arts and code and music and whatnot. So yeah, that's probably really it. Other comment there, AI has the tendency to hallucinate. These GAI systems are quite literally word predicting engines. Yeah, as I said, in my opinion, they are random best guess database retrieval and combinational systems. I really can't tell you. It isn't sure. It's literally just word prediction and wrapping. I mean, if you have a neural network, if you train, I mean, it should have some kind of prediction of level of confidence. If you I trained neural networks, and decades ago and still today. And so, of course, if you have a classic neural network like single layer or multi-layer, whatnot, you have a probability, right? Like think OCR, like we also have. And if you train an OCR or whatever to recognize characters the alphabet or other stuff like cats and dogs, it neural network will give you some output, like on what level of confidence it's an A or an B or a cat or a dog, and I mean some kind of internal thing. It should have internal weight in some way, shape or form, but current networks are stacked feed-forward systems. Any data is not explicitly included can and often is dropped. Definitely an issue. Yeah, and I mean, currently they just pull stuff out of, I mean, there is of course pretty impressive stuff that I didn't really talk about now, is of generating image and audio, and even video and stuff, but I mean, it looks at times pretty impressive, but it's also mostly just recycling stuff. So it's currently not general intelligent nor doing really creative work. Like it's most systems currently are just, as we discussed, random stuff out, like best matching, not really random, but random best matching stuff from a database, from its knowledge storage, and they are currently not capable of doing really novel, creative inventions. Comment there, we're correct. Build all neural network as well as simulation to observe advancements, have adaptive DRNN is beautiful, and yes, training needs careful consideration before deployment. Use AI to predict it. Yeah, law was espresso. Yes, I'm aware of law. No, I didn't mean law, because law was, I think law was first created, or at least that was usually the discussion. Like, first was lawless, law was created, and then he was too much human and evil and whatnot, and then he soon created data of being less human and less feelings and more predictive and basic memory. I'm not a diehard Trekkie, and it was decades when I watched it. Yeah, no, I meant before. I meant the degraded copy, or like his, like Lal. I meant data copying itself to a lesser, mostly lesser, probably, not really sure how many feelings Lal had. I meant degraded copy of Lal and before. Currently it's Frankenstein is an evil genie with Alzheimer, but when it hits good, it's magnificent. ChatGPT is definitely a big reveal. Law physically resembles the Android data and his elder brother before. That is why I remembered before. Oh, no, I realize before. That is why I was thinking after, before. Yeah, before. This is why somehow before stuck. No, only now that I pronounce it fast, I realize that. Thanks for that. Now it clicked before. What was I thinking? Did I say iteration? Yeah, don't delay, drink some water today. But that is also, I was with after, and why did, probably I was thinking after before because it was created after data, by data, right? Yeah. Anyway, law was created by Dr. Ninian Song. So by human standards would consider data's twin or elder. He was the elder brother. I thought he was created first. Thanks for the correction. Highly appreciated. Probably I need to get my Blu-ray collection out and rewatch it. Probably can soon with my 3-year-old, right? Probably he is old enough for Star Trek. Blue-collar jobs are far harder to replace. Yeah, that is crazy stuff, right? People, and it's also crazy that people always think we replace blue-collar jobs first, but in reality, it's now no coders like now programmers are shocked that they are the first to be replaced, right? All the irony. Range of functions, use activities, depending, probably token choice is not the same as confidence, overall values in relation to the prompt. Confidence of the function is not efficient with current models publicized. U was created before both of them. By C you mean data. I see. I somehow thought that, but yeah, probably need to watch it. I thought data, but yeah, this is also after 20 years. You can also, or is it even 30? Probably it's already 30 years, right? Interesting. Yeah, but so it can be. Maybe it was also not always clear in the episodes of the handful of episodes where maybe they was also at times wondering whether law was created. I mean, also like law was probably lying to data a lot and stuff. So I would probably blame it to that and different episodes, making it not always entirely clear. Obviously adding to the story of research who was first and who was later, and law certainly lying to data and stuff. So that was the video. We discussed AI in all current detail. I hope you enjoyed this additional discussion, which probably, of course, over 1 hour. Yeah, I have some other stuff to finish. Hope you enjoyed this, learned something, and have a good day, night, and see you for all the next videos and coding to come. And improved serial console, right? For all those serial console aficionados. Ah, thanks, Luke, for the corrections.